I'm not sure.
Third time's the charm?
No, 1 and 2 were good enough. Third time might be the charm for the game, though. Picks and bans.
That's what I'm saying, though, is that I think that Obey, I love their composition this time around. And sure, normally when you see Athena Giannis as the top 2 pick selections for any team, and that's being considered for that top end spectrum of Europe.
You say, uh-oh.
Yeah, it's natural. Anything. I think anybody would have that reaction typically, but you have to keep in mind that just because you bring in a bunch of global presence does not mean that you're going to actually be able to utilize it, and that seemed to be the biggest detriment here for NRG. They got a little bit too caught up in that global game, just like what we saw from Obey in the first match, and they weren't able to properly follow up off of it in the way that they were probably envisioning at first. I think that this composition relies very heavily upon counter initiation, but if your whole team's dead from the first round, you're not going to have a counter initiation.
It's true, and I think it's rough to really say that Athena's there just for the global prowess. I think that Taunt is one of the best regular abilities in the game, but the idea that you are losing damage when you select a Giannis is not something that everybody agrees with, but you're losing consistent, guaranteed damage. Giannis will wind up at the top of the player charts because Unstable will just hit you for 1,500.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I want a different mage to come off of an Athena taunt. I want a different mage to do consistent damage. If I am going to pick the Athena Giannis combo, I need to find some raw jungle or some raw hunter damage. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the difference that I am really enjoying seeing from Obey. They take the Athena, which is still the right direction to go in, but they add the Thoth with it, and this gives you that guaranteed safe and reliable poke that they were missing out on from the first match. I really like this so far from Obey. I liked NRG's too, up until that Batz pick.
I mean, I will never dislike Batz. I think that Fear No Evil is great. Again, similar to Giannis, I think that you do suffer a damage. You lose some damage theoretically. Batz can wind up high on the damage charts, but again, it's from Big Burst. It's not the same type of damage you get from other junglers. I don't see why you don't like this pick. Why don't you like this one?
Main reason being control. I feel like there's heavy control between the Guan and the Cerberus, and normally Fear No Evil is excellent for spacing out a team fight or just creating a constant threat potential on objectives. Here, I feel as though it's a lack of pressure in comparison to the other 2 gods that NRG already have paired alongside of it. And so my concern is, are NRG going to add on a little bit more of that early game potential to try and maybe a supplement for this lack of presence from the Batz in the early game? And it's also getting close. How are you going to get up close and personal against an Athena and a Thoth?
For me, I see Cerberus is going to group players up so that Batz can ult them and spread them out so that Guan, you can stun them. Where is the follow-up is what I'm saying here. We had the conversation with Athena, right? So you go Athena Thoth instead of Athena Giannis. And it seems like NRG have all these characters setting up for who? And I guess the answer is going to be Raijin in the middle lane for Yammyn. And the Jing is going to be in the hands of Emil. I'm worried about a lack of damage for NRG. Raijin is the guy to fix that, so maybe that's the case.
Raijin can fix it, but pinning everything onto Yammyn is what worries me here for NRG, because Jing, we all know that emilitoo can perform on the Jing. The question is, how late are we going to have to wait for this Jing to show up? And I do feel as though there is a healthy spread in comparing the 2 drafts, because when I look at Obey's composition, I see early, I see middle, I see late. It's all across the board, feeling relatively sound. So NRG, they're all about the execution on this one. It's really, can NRG play off of the Fear No Evil and perfectly execute, or are they going to fumble and end up dropping the set to Obey?
NRG, like you said, late game composition. I love the last pick, Naja, by the way. Naja into Raijin can be rough because his ultimate is CC immune for so long, but he punishes well. And in a team composition that is sort of funneling all of the damage into 1 or 2 players, the luxury of being able to flicker wisp somebody out of the conversation, just, we don't see you for a couple of seconds and then we see you later. It's a really, really big deal.
You know who's probably getting ulted off cooldown is Adapting.
Yeah.
That's who you're keeping out of the team fight. You just, if Twig can make sure to keep that Fear No Evil away from everyone else on Obey, they're in a good spot.
That's the key. We'll see if Twig has the capacity to do that, or if the monkey will party. Casters, bring us game number 3.
And game number 3, it will be. Obey forced it in that game number 2 by responding in a big way. And now we get to figure out, are NRG going to be that kind of unquestioned team at the top, or Obey going to keep the waters nice and murky?
Obey looked so much better in that game too, but they have to keep that momentum going in game 3. This is a team composition that has the potential, I think, to just steamroll NRG.
Yes.
Or get steamrolled very, very easily. And it all centers around CaptainTwig. If CaptainTwig has another good game, Obey is going to look great. If he doesn't, I think this one's over fast.
Well, who do you all think is going to win? Go ahead and vote for us in the Mixer poll. I do agree that CaptainTwig is going to be important. I have my eyes on Prime as well, though. They have so much setup for this Thoth in the mid lane that as long as that setup is there, he's going to have a field day following up. So what's NRG going to do about that? Are they going to try and take out the setup or take out the god himself and limit his damage?
I think that Thoth doesn't really need that much setup for himself. Like, his abilities are big. Like, they take up a lot of area in the middle of a team fight. Okay. When I think of gods that need a lot of setup, I'm looking at Ra, gods like that like Nox, who hard to confirm combo. Thoth could kind of get it done by himself a lot of the time. And don't get me wrong, when I'm playing Thoth, I'd love to have Athena Naja on my team, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's a necessity. I think that Prime, even if his setup gets killed around him, can still do great work by himself.
Absolutely, and I think that that's more of the important part, that he can exist independent of it. But certainly having it is only going to be better. It's going to be able to follow up of Naja ult every single time, as EmilZy just kind of goes in and face tanks a bunch of damage here, trying to keep this wave alive. iRaffer happily trading out with him. EmilZy's got to retreat at a certain point, as he takes so much damage, allowing for emilitoo to go do red buff on his own.
I don't really understand the point of taking that much damage there, Finch. Normally, I'm pretty good at understanding, like, okay, if you do that, then you do something like this. Like, there's really no difference in clear speed to if emilZy just sits under a tower and watches Obey clear that wave, or taking 95% of his health to do it.
Well, especially with like Astral Arrows abilities that are going to hit the wave and you, like, it's like, I don't know, definitely just additive in that case, right? I don't know. As now emilZy gets taunted in as they hit level 2 early, roll in from Ataraxia, but he misses the shot, and that's all it takes for emilZy to make it out.
Man, that's a kill right there for NRG. Ataraxia is just not accurate enough in that spot in order to find it, and you know he'll be kicking himself for that. If he could have gotten off to that great of a start, Obey would have been pretty happy with it.
Do you think standing in damage for that long can maybe throw you off a little bit? Like, maybe not even ready for it as CaptainTwig comes in on a Yammyn. He's like, at this point, I don't even expect him to juke with the way he's been playing up to this point, right? Like, I don't know.
Like, maybe emilZy had, like, a drink between games, and you're just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, perhaps, as emilZy does manage to find his way to get out of that one. CaptainTwig is in come look for the red buff, only to find that emilitoo grabbed that long ago. Now, a little bit more rotates come in from Yammyn as CaptainTwig actually uses the sash in aggressively. Now he's slowed, forced to use beads, adapting, jumps in for another slow once beads are over. Overhand smash, looks like he doesn't have it, but they don't even need it. Thunder Crash gives first blood to Yammyn.
It's not the spot where you can use your sash aggressively there. And CaptainTwig's been playing Naja forever. Like, forever he's been playing Naja. When he first moved into the jungle after playing mid for his entire pro career before that, Naja was the first character where people were like, okay, Twig got some game in the jungle. We can respect this. And there, just a boneheaded decision. Can't sash in that spot.
Yeah, curious. The slows from NRG really stacking up in that situation. And he had the information that they were both there. Perhaps he wasn't quite sure where adapting was, and if it is just Yammyn, then he can afford to make that play. But without having that information, if you aren't sure, then you can't sash, right? So he goes in and gets punished.
I think he sashes with the hopes that adapting will be next to Yammyn, and then he can get a big ring toss and kill one, or maybe even both.
Yeah,
but
perhaps.
Both adapting and Yammyn have leap still, so even if you throw the ring, that you're only going to get a bounce or two. So now he sashes again, this time in a much better spot though, and he should be able to get the kill here on a maniaK, and he will do just that in perfect timing. Blue buff just spawned.
Even through the meditation that maniaK had as well, it just was too much damage. And CaptainTwig timed it perfectly. I believe he interrupted the Talu assault from maniaK as well with that. So cut off a lot of the return damage and finds the kill. As emilitoo also going to stand in the 1v2, take a whole bunch of damage, does force Ataraxia back and can't find the kill.
And one thing I will say that I really appreciate about CaptainTwig as a player is that he can do something like that where he just throws his life away and I'm sitting here scratching my head. and then he immediately goes to the enemy blue buff and tries to make another play. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't phase him to die. And I think that it does phase some pro players when they make big mistakes and they die, that gets in their own head. I truly think that CaptainTwig can be 0-9 and still make the same decision as if he were 0-0. And there is something to be said for that, without a doubt.
Well, adapting still level 4, unlike CaptainTwig, who's level 5 and ready to take you up with that Windfire Wheels if you step too far forward. Certainly someone who, as you said, is not afraid to pull the trigger in the jungle roll. PrettyPriMe right there with him. But instead, they're going to be looking to back. They had a little bit of time where Adapting didn't have the ult and might have had the advantage. Now Twig comes back out, drops off that ring bouncer, good poke, but not going to aggress any further than that.
His speed is coming up, and he's only sitting on boots 1. He doesn't do too much damage at this point. Him being able to back, finish off his warrior Tabai, pick up his speed buff. Now he's got the whole map at his fingertips where he wants to go and make plays. Plus, Adapting was about to hit level 5. Twig's beads were still on cooldown until right now from when he died for First Blood by red buff, so he doesn't want to go aggressive onto a Hun Batz, even with the slight level lead.
There's like a little bit of venom in there when you said died by red buff.
Oh, that was a bad death. You don't see a lot of bad deaths in the SPL, like you really don't. Even when you're watching like the 5 and 6 seed teams go against one another, you won't see a lot of just bad deaths. That was a bad death to take. That just didn't make any sense to me. So yeah, you know, I wasn't pleased.
No, I mean, that's fine. I get that. As CaptainTwig is looking for action on the right-hand side of the map here. The blue buff is spawning, so this is a good time to be here. maniaKK recognizing that he's not going to be here in time. And now has to be careful. He wants to take the fight. Sash does good damage, does heal it. Yammyn and emilZy potentially rotating over to this, but Obey are not sticking around.
Adapting has his ultimate, but doesn't want to commit it onto Xaliea, who can easily just use that Moonlit Waltz to get away in the wrong spot. Don't know that this is exactly where Twig wants to be spending the majority of his time, but weaving in, getting the enemy blue buff, and then going right back towards mid is perfect. This allows Xaliea to get ahead of maniaKK and puts him in a decent spot to stay ahead, and I think that's exactly what he should be doing.
Well, I was going to say, I kind of do like it. CaptainTwig getting Xaliea ahead is so important. We saw the impact Xaliea was able to have there in game 2. So why not make sure Xalia's in a good position? This does mean that there's not much pressure on to, say, emilitoo or Yammyn, and they're kind of relaxing. But, I mean, Prime is ahead as emilZy rotates in, does drop down the ultimate. PrettyPriMe charging Final Judgment. Does not quite strike home as Sprint came out from NRG, and everyone's going to just fall back.
emilZy with a good juke, but wasn't even really necessary. Just prevented Prime from boosting his damage numbers. No way Final Judgment does half of a Cerberus' health, especially when that Cerberus has the reinforced Greaves there for himself.
Adapting is waiting in the jungle. Sash down from CaptainTwig. Tycho Drums comes out. Yammyn holds them to try and connect on a Twig. It's not enough. PrettyPriMe, though, finds evade and punish. And Twig is right there with the follow-up damage. That's going to take Adapting up into the air. CaptainTwig not done chasing. Yes, the ring bounce just too good. emilZy could certainly fall here as well with Prime in follow-up. emilitoo makes the rotation. That's going to force him back. Big-time crit looks like comes out. That lets him get Twig.
Man, I was ranting and raving last game about how that looked like old Obey. That right there looks like old NRG, where it is really only for emilitoo because he comes in, everything's going wrong for NRG. Things went horribly wrong in mid lane there. And then ML somehow always comes up and makes a big play at the exact moment that NRG needs it. And I thought that emilitoo was the best player on this team last year. I thought that he looked incredible just week in and week out, even when the team itself was struggling. And in Season 5, ML has been kind of quiet overall. A lot of other ADCs have kind of stepped up and made plays, and emilitoo hasn't been the dude. It's been back to Adapting and Yammyn being the guys for NRG. That is exactly what NRG needed at that moment, because that turnaround from Obey Alliance was beautiful.
Disgusting.
I mean, Prime threads the needle on the evade and punish onto Yammyn. Twig holds his beads, he doesn't even bead the initiation from the Fear No Evil with Tycho Drums in the background because he understands how far away he is from Yammyn. And then he turns around and gets the kill onto Adapting perfectly. But that cleanup play from emilitoo puts the brakes on Obey's momentum, and NRG couldn't have needed it at a better time.
But I mean, talk to me a little bit about the actual energy side of that fight, because Obey, you're right, their response was great, but the Fear No Evil and the Tycho Drums, they weren't quite lined up. I mean, Yammyn is barely hitting Twig with the tail ends of it once he's already in the jungle. What was the target they're looking for? emilZy is in a whole mess of trouble.
No.
PrettyPriMe has Final Judgment charge, can't land, but Yammyn needs some assistance. PrettyPriMe puts him out of his misery, and Ataraxia hunts down emilZy. 2 quick kills for Obey.
Okay, I'm sold again. Twig's insane, and I'm sorry for ever doubting anything he ever did, because there he sashes emilZy, changes his camera angle during the sash, and then ults Yammyn so that Yammyn wasn't ready for it and didn't use the beats. Insane. Twig is on fire right now.
Adapting coming in for the 1v4 underneath the tier 1 tower. Sash comes out. maniaKK is here with support, lands his own ultimate, but they lock him down with the CC chain. He's forced to retreat. Does have the heal, but now emilitoo's coming in also by himself, looking for the fight. Dashing aggressively. Airstrike gets him away. That does force Obey back, but very, very close from NRG.
Very. All three members, Adapting, maniaKK, emilitoo, all kind of playing with fire there, but all three escaped, so no harm, no foul. In fact, Adapting solo ults 4 people and still got Prime's beams, which is as great as he could ever ask for in that spot. Also got the shell from iRaffer, so 2 big defensive cooldowns now on wait for Obey Alliance, and certainly Adapting's ultimate will be up sooner than those. It will be available for Obey.
But doesn't game 1 feel years away from now that we're looking at this game where NRG just had that so much dominance in that game 1? Obey Alliance in Season 5 have kind of had NRG's number. They've been the sort of Achilles heel for this squad. It's why they didn't go to LAN during the spring split. Now NRG, even after a good game 1, are falling a bit behind Obey here in game 2, about 2,500 gold behind already at the 10-minute mark.
This is a great start for Obey Alliance, and it does feel like an eternity ago in that game 1 where Obey just don't look like themselves at all. And maybe, maybe they were just off to a bad start. I definitely was pretty critical of Obey, not only in that game, but like how they've looked in Season 5 so far. This is much more indicative of their play as of late in the summer split. Now, maybe it's time to stop thinking of the loss to mousesports as a bad loss for Obey, and more that mousesports continues to improve and that they're a real team to be reckoned with. You heard EmilZy during the pregame interview say that keep an eye out for mousesports, man. That team is getting legit pretty quick.
Obey Alliance do have a bit of a lead here right now, but NRG are still in this game. But you got to give a lot of attention here to Twig, as maniaKK gets caught by the waxing moon, and Twig not even going to let him get up on the horse. We don't care how nice it is. He shuts it down right away. 6 kills now for Obey, and Ataraxia could be in trouble as emilitoo perfectly knocks him up and uses it to chase Adapting and emilZy, all going to be waiting for him when he lands. What a play from the Hunter for NRG.
iRaffer won't even get here in time. emilitoo, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where everything starts going wrong for NRG. emilitoo is the handbrake every single time, where he's the one making big plays when they need them, and he will set up another big play. Yammyn in a lot of trouble in the mid lane, couple fears to get some people away, but he can't keep everyone away forever. The duo lane for Obey falls, but Yammyn was left alone and isolated in the mid.
That does mean that he is going to end up falling, and now Obey Alliance can take a bit of a look towards this Gold Fury. They don't have Ataraxia here, some of their best damage, and emilitoo is on his way. He's got maniaKK in tow, but CaptainTwig undeterred, going to take him up and bring him right back down into PrettyPrime's damage. Instead, they actually switch over to emilitoo, but the ring bounce is just too good. It goes through both. emilitoo has to airstrike away. They're both very, very low. Only emilZy here and healthy, and Ataraxia on his way to help them secure.
emilZy doesn't have his ultimate either, so Obey should be able to secure it over the Cerberus, but emilZy's going to be lurking, and NRG could really use their support to make a play, but Xaliea prevents that from happening with a really, really nicely timed ultimate. Allows Obey to secure and stun emilZy simultaneously. They even chase the sprint out from the support. Twig lost his speed buff among all that. Adapting was able to seal it away, and I really don't think he could care less. I mean, just in a great spot now.
Xaliea up 2 levels, Twig up 2 levels, Prime up 3 levels, but somehow, some way, emilitoo's still out in front. Over here in the dual lane, you continue to mention him as sort of like this release valve for NRG. When things start to get out of control, you can kind of lean on him to relieve a little bit of this pressure. Now, they're going to need a lot from emilitoo if he really is meant to sort of even out this whole gap by himself, because they're down in XP despite his lead, but certainly it's still there. They have somewhere to play. But everyone else kind of falling to this early pressure from Twig. I feel like he's been the catalyst for Obey.
Twig and Xaliea again on this Chang'e, man. Xalia's Chang'e is really showing up in this set, and I am shocked that NRG just really didn't pay it any respect at all in picks and bans. They didn't ban it. They didn't really pick around it. NRG's the one who banned Odin. Really surprised me.
emilZy does jump over the taunt and try and strip away that Pyromancer. Looks like Obey were able to grab it in the end. maniaKK is looking for Xaliea. Tycho drums come through, not able to land any control. EmilZy gets controlled himself, has to use Stitching in Torment. CaptainTwig's low, can't find Percussive Storm.
Xalia's still alive!
Finally ends up hitting him. PrettyPriMe takes down EmilZy. Adapting, gonna keep trying to chase this Chang'e, but can't quite find the damage. Yammyn eventually comes in and saves the day. Prime now gonna look for more damage.
Prime actually gonna dash to safety because there's still 3 members here for NRG, but Xaliea almost survived all of that. That was preposterous.
Yes.
It even got the beads out from adapting in that spot. Just another second or two and his heal cooldown would have been up, and he may have even survived in that instance. Finally, NRG brings Xaliea down, but still, man, that was insane.
So this game still in Obey Alliance's favor. Now the gold lead a little bit closer to about 3,500 gold in Obey Alliance's favor, 3,000 experience, but you can see it's kind of curved back up a little bit. That fight helped NRG a good deal, even with the Pyromancer going the way of Obey Alliance. NRG still in this game, still showing us some signs of life. Haven't quite connected everything all at once like they want as CaptainTwig pressures Yammyn, evade and punish, lands onto the dog, but they're all going to be okay.
Yammyn uses beads even without Twig's, any threat of Twig's ultimate. It was on cooldown for a pretty long time still. It was about halfway there when he got sashed, but I think that's understanding that a lot of junglers are going for cooldown right now, cooldown reduction in their builds, that you kind of expect Twig to have some himself. Instead, he's going for a much more utility build. The Brawler's Beat Stick shut down the healing from maniaKK and the Winged Blade to give himself some extra survivability against the squad of NRG. So Yammyn ends up losing his beads for not a whole lot of commit.
CaptainTwig gonna run into maniaKK here in the jungle. Sash to interrupt Tally Assault, but right up onto the ult and try and land the stun. And actually, he's gonna disengage. iRaffer and Prime are starting to make the rotations over, and NRG no longer want anything to do with that fight. I think that might be the right call right now. Just try and farm up and close this gap any way you can.
maniaKK really wanted that fight, and you could almost hear NRG telling him, no, like, don't go in right now. We aren't in position. The mid of PrettyPriMe and iRaffer, we're gonna beat Adapting and Yammyn on that rotation. So they end up calling maniaKK off, and it's a good thing they did, because that could have been a bad fight for NRG, and they really can't afford to take another bad fight right now.
And this is such an important game for them, not just standings-wise, but at a certain point, mentality-wise. Obey are just their kryptonite right now, it feels like, right? Even when Obey are doing well, Obey somehow seem to just have the answer. NRG got to show us they can stop this team. They can beat Obey Alliance. And yes, it's also going to be very impactful for them in terms of the standings if they can finally get it done.
Absolutely agree with you. This is a team that NRG desperately wants to beat and is putting a lot of pressure on themselves to do so. Prime gets ulted, and Beads is very late. Lets himself get pulled in, and then Beads, it doesn't matter at that point.
Well, he is going to get Yammyn up into the air as CaptainTwig. That ultimate doing a lot of damage at this point. Aegis comes out. iRaffer very low. emilitoo is going to find the kill. Yammyn still alive for the moment. Hides in the Gold Fury pit and gets away from the snipes. Adapting finds CaptainTwig. This is the fight NRG needed. Blink comes out for Adapting. Knocked up. Aegis keeps him alive for the moment, but emilitoo smells blood in the water. They can't chase underneath the tier 2, but NRG find 3 kills for nothing.
And the difference there, number one, Prime's beads. You're either beadsing that Stitching in Torment or you aren't. But waiting until you land, pressing the button like, oh no, I made a mistake, it's already too late at that point. He was right into the teeth of Yammyn's ult and had no chance to survive. That's bad for Obey Alliance, but Xaliea has been so critical to these team fights and he wasn't there for that. And that I think makes all the difference in the world for Obey.
Well, they got to be careful. Xaliea certainly has steal potential with the Waxing Moon, but he's getting collapsed on. 3 members are looking now for this Chang'e. Goldtree being looked at. Ataraxia is on the rotation for the steal. Does not have the ultimate, but he has plenty of damage. EmilZy has to leave. They are able to grab the Gold Fury, but they have to give up their support. Can the rest of the team cleanly disengage? Because Xaliea now is tracking down Yammyn. maniaKK comes in for support. Thunder Crash comes out. Now maniaKK could be in a little bit of trouble. Prime doesn't have the stun. No pull either. maniaKK should be okay. NRG only give up the support.
I wouldn't mind Obey trying to rush down a Fire Giant here.
Yes.
Just try and make a play, right? But they aren't behind by too much, so not going to make any crazy decisions and throw the game away. But I don't know. That last team fight, I think, really sucked the wind out of Obey's sails.
But I mean, what more could you want as emilitoo dashes and aggressively sash from Twig comes out, but Fear No Evil creates the space. Yammyn finds CaptainTwig and they take down this Naja that's caused so much trouble. Tycho drums, pulls Xaliea back into the team. Even Rapper gets hit by a tick, and now Adapting comes in on the backside for Custom Storm 2. Good, emilitoo gets kill credit, and NRG have flipped this game around.
Again, now they're on the offensive once more. PrettyPriMe is here. No beads for him, but no ultimates to worry about outside of EmilZy's. But EmilZy doesn't have Blink, so no way to close that gap. NRG's going to get a Pyromancer here, most likely. Obey Alliance don't have a lot of steal potential. Ataraxia could use the ultimate, but probably doesn't know exactly what's going on. I'll bet you Obey's worried that NRG is on Fire Giant in that spot. And if maniaKK was just a bit healthier, I think that could have been a real possibility for NRG.
I don't know what more you could ask for here, Ryan. I mean, what a set so far between these two squads. The importance can't be overstated. The closeness of these two teams, how much they want to win, can't be oversold right now. And Obey Alliance had all the momentum, all the wind in their sails going into these last two team fights, and NRG found a way to close them out. Xaliea wasn't there in the first fight. In that second fight, they're finally lining their abilities up the way they want. As EmilZy catches out iRaffer, forces Defender of Olympus defensively, and they are able to retreat. In fact, Prime and Twig want to take this fight. emilitoo and EmilZy got to be careful here.
Sprint used by EmilZy just in case. Twig's ultimate is coming up soon. Final Judgment, I believe, did clip the tail of EmilZy there. Adapting's going to blink in and drop Fear No Evil. That gets the beads from Ataraxia, but it's a 1-0. EmilZy falls.
Waxing. Moon does come out. That's going to land and force emilitoo back. He didn't have beads ready, I guess, anyway, so they could not be forced out as he does barely survive. But EmilZy going in a little bit too far onto iRaffer, and the rest of Obey Alliance collapse in on him, and they punish. NRG got to make sure they don't give too much back here. They've slowed the game down. It's not just even, it's a little bit in their favor. They got to make sure they don't give up too much.
Twig has his ultimate, and he's hunting for someone in the jungle. Particularly emilitoo is his ideal target right now, knowing that ML doesn't have those beads, but won't be able to find it, though Obey do find the tier 1 on that side of the map. That gets them 500 gold, spread across 100 apiece. Not too shabby. More importantly, the map pressure, the map presence. Now Obey, when they win a team fight, won't have to worry about tier 1 towers. They can just go straight to the tier 2s.
Should make things a little bit easier for them, but Adapting has been a big difference maker in this game for me so far, Ryan. 1-1-10, a part of all of the kills for NRG. The only person in the game who can make that claim that they're a part of all their team's kills so far. And his Fear No Evils, when they're on point, have truly been on point. He's really made the difference, I feel like, for NRG in this game.
I completely agree with you. It's been Adapting and emilitoo, because I really believe if ML doesn't come over and get that kill in mid and help out on the double kill on left, that this game is likely over in Obey's favor. Maybe not the Titan falling, but we're talking about how Obey bounced back and somehow won this set pretty darn soon. But emilitoo put the brakes on and kept NRG in the game, and Adapting's taken full advantage.
I don't think it's so different to have a 2-for-1 instead of 2-for-0, right? Which is what could have easily happened to them in mid lane, or a 3-for-0 on the other side. That's a 3-for-1 instead, because emilitoo finds a kill on his side of the map. I 100% agree that instead of Obey being able to freely do whatever they want, emilitoo finding just a couple picks or just one has changed the fight as EmilZy goes in, but Xaliea looked for Yammyn on the backside. Nobody there to help Ataraxia. maniaKK deletes him underneath the tower, and Yammyn, even though he's low, has the Tycho drums. Can't find a target, has to cancel, but look at emilitoo. He's still split pushing, and they got to send CaptainTwig his way.
Ataraxia's beads were still down from that little skirmish on the left-hand side and immediately punished for it. Twig, no ultimate. He had to use it defensively in the mid lane, and that's why emilitoo's just got no fear right now.
He definitely recognized it, did not use any defensive relics. He is going to come now to regroup and rejoin the fight. Adapting's kind of gone off on his own, so it looks like this fight actually is over. NRG don't want to continue to siege in the tier 1. They didn't get the tower, but they got their pick. Ataraxia fell off a great collapse from NRG, and I like what Xaliea did. He looked for Yammyn on the back end of that fight, just didn't have enough.
And that's the nature of the beast for Chang'e solo. You need to build at least somewhat tanky so that you don't get immediately exploded, and Xalia's done a good job of balancing the damage versus the tankiness in his builds thus far. The Rod of Asclepius finish now means that that extra 90 power will certainly go a long way in making sure kills can go his way in those opportunities.
iRaffer, dash, taunt, Yammyn, Beads has to come out, Twig still doesn't quite have the ultimate yet. maniaKK doesn't find the stun there with the horse. He gets right on and looks for the swing. Twig is low, adapting comes in, doesn't have Fear No Evil any longer. Final Judgment off the mark too. This fight so far has been a little bit all over the place and no one's been able to hit home. Taunt brings maniaKK back into the damage, but a two-man knockup from emilitoo changes the complexion yet again.
Twig has that ultimate back, and Adaptings is down. Yammyn about to get that Taiko drums back for himself, and Obey Alliance knows that this is not a Gold Fury they should give up.
But they've got the ultimate advantage, it feels like, for Obey Alliance. iRaffer going in for the taunt one more time. Ring bounce goes through everyone, but no ultimate comes out from Twig. Now the Taiko drums are sounding off. Yammyn finds a kill, as does Ataraxia. Twig and emilZy both go down, but Adapting makes it 2 for 1 by finding iRaffer. Xaliea makes it 2 for 2, but Yammyn's on a tear with a double kill. He finds another kill, but bloodbath here on the Gold Fury.
maniaKK looking for Xaliea. Shots through the wall from Prime. Not good enough to save his soul. And Xaliea falls. And emilitoo still nice and healthy now to tank up this Gold Fury.
But Prime should definitely be able to bully them here on this Gold Fury. Gets good poke. maniaKK's low, but the sustain coming in big. Dashes in. Forces PrettyPriMe to retreat. emilitoo's here for the damage, but with Evade and Punish ready, they cannot chase, but they also can't get it. maniaKK, a little bit of trouble. Final Judgment is fired. That was right at their back, but doesn't land. PrettyPriMe does what he needs to do, and they can't get gold.
Man, what a crazy fight back and forth, and this is the story of Naja. Twig has a great start to the game, and he's looking great. So is the rest of Obey Alliance. Twig misses ultimate there, and Obey Alliance lose the team fight because of it. If he's able to snag Yammyn with that Windfire wheels, Yammyn's beads were down. Twig blinks in, ring tosses emilitoo after the taunt from iRaffer. That slows everyone down, gives Twig that little bit of a speed boost, and gives him an opportunity, but just a little bit to the right on the ultimate, and as a result, Obey just don't have as much in that fight to give.
emilitoo has to be careful, though. Obey recognizes he's doing the Gold Fury, and they come force him off. maniaKK now trapped between two. He's happy to put out some damage. But, I mean, you got to give credit to emilitoo. Hunters don't have performances like this in Season 5 anymore. It's just not quite what they do. They're still very strong late. They can still be strong mid. But emilitoo front to back, 7-0-5 on the Jing way of all gods. I mean, he's been night and day the clear difference in this game.
Without a doubt. He has been the catalyst for everything that NRG has done successfully so far in this game. Yammyn as well has had a really solid game on the Raijin, but without emilitoo, I doubt we're talking about emilitoo at all, or anyone on NRG for that matter. We're probably on the desk.
Gold Fury is still the point of contestation. Even here at the 25-minute mark, Gold Fury now at half HP. Twig coming in, looking for the ring bounce. That is going to get him some good poke off, but maniaKK happy to sustain it. iRaffer comes in, taunts emilZy. PrettyPriMe is there, but emilZy jumps in aggressively. Can't find anyone with the Stygian Torment. emilZy, though, dashes in aggressive. He's looking for more targets. Yammyn on the back line, getting controlled. He's chunking CaptainTwig, but Ataraxia finally takes down emilitoo for the shutdown. Twig wins the 1v1, but Yammyn with the Raiju bounces back now, adapting in some trouble. He's got to retreat 1 for 3 so far for Obey.
And the difference in that fight, emilitoo got to do absolutely nothing. He got stunned by the waxing moon out of Xaliea and stood there for 2 full seconds, ate a huge Final Judgment right to the dome, and then the snipes from Ataraxia. I don't know if Emil used his relics in the last fight or what, but didn't get a chance to use them there.
Yeah, they're certainly available for him now, and I don't know if NRG could come defend this Fire Giant. Even though they were fighting on the Gold Fury, Fire Giant's what's being looked at now, and NRG cannot make it into this Fire Giant pit. Obey Alliance finally break the stalemate of these last 10 minutes, grab the big-time map objective, and they've got some Tier 2 towers to go to work on to try and extend this gold lead.
Obey should be able to knock down each of these Tier 2 towers at this point. I mean, they're getting close to full build. I wonder if NRG is going to contest on any of these. Usually you see teams give up Tier 2s, defend on Phoenix, but this gold lead is so minuscule right now for Obey Alliance that if I'm on NRG, I don't think I'm that averse to defending on Tier 2. Don't necessarily just gift 4,500 gold to the enemy team if you can help it. Now, if you don't think that that gold is actually relevant, if you feel like you're deep enough in your build now, and so is Obey Alliance, that the gold is irrelevant, you'd rather just get the better defensive posturing, that's fine, but I don't think I'd hate seeing NRG try and at least fake a defense on a Tier 2.
CaptainTwig and maniaKK battle out here in the solo lane, but they're not really looking for anything too serious, as just about everyone level 20 at this point. Only the supports are not there. As you mentioned, we're getting closer and closer to this full build. 5 items for just about everybody. 6 items almost there for Yammyn. These teams are getting close to being as strong as they're going to get. And the game is still very, very even. NRG, though, they don't have to feel like this game's over just because that Fire Giant's been taken. They can defend. How much, though, do they want to give up here, Ryan? That's really the question. And what is going to be their big difference maker in the defenses? I mean, how do they protect emilitoo and Yammyn when Twig is in the backline doing the damage he's doing? How do they get away from this big Waxing Moon ultimate from Xaliea?
Well, I think you just try and be very wary about using your relics at the right time. It's really more about who is iRaffer going to be able to pull beads from. That is what this entire comp is designed to do. Get purification beads through iRaffer Taunt or through Waxing Moon or through Naja Sash, and let the others that didn't use their CC abilities just reap the benefits for it later on in those engagements. So as long as NRG is able to give Yammyn some space, give emilitoo some space, let them use their beads at the right time, I feel like NRG still has great potential. They've got to use their poke effectively to try and knock down Xaliea as early as possible, because Xalia's sustain is what's really going to cause NRG problems.
And look at Obey's build path. They really are trying to mitigate some of emilitoo's effectiveness here at this point in the game. iRaffer and CaptainTwig both going into these anti-crit options to try and stop these explosive bolts, and now the crit even with the Deathbringer that emilitoo's itemized into from being as effective, recognizing that he's kind of been the main real problem on this NRG side. I love some of these itemization choices from Obey.
And the Talisman of Energy as well from CaptainTwig, something that we've seen a little bit more of these days, and I think it's well deserved. This item is really, really solid overall. Gives you magical protection, gives you a lot of health, but that passive, kind of weird at times in the game where you're not going to be clearing minions a lot. It's the one where when a minion dies near you, it's not just when you kill one, but when a minion dies near you, you and anyone around you get that movement speed buff. In siege potential and siege opportunities, minions are dying around you constantly. You're pushing waves, their waves are spawning, you're killing them as soon as they spawn. Your whole team gets that much harder to track down and kill, and I really love this item in these sorts of situations.
I'm loving the itemization from both these squads. EmilZy, recognizing they're in defense mode, has that Emperor's armor now. They're going to be trying their best to keep this base standing. It was the call to let all these tier 2 towers go here, Ryan, and that's going to be Obey Alliance netting, as you said, about 4,500 gold essentially for free to push them even further out into the lead. Now, it cost them the Fire Giant buff. They're not going to have that for sieging the Phoenix because they use it purely on taking down those towers and getting the map control as they regroup around the Fire Giant. Do NRG want to be here for that fight, or do they want to just wait on the Phoenixes?
No, I think you absolutely defend Fire Giant here if you're NRG. 10,000 gold at this point still sounds scary, but isn't really that bad.
Yeah.
NRG's getting close to their 6 items as Adapting uses the beats, and that's exactly what iRaffer wanted in that spot, and Twig immediately gonna look to punish, and punish he will. Has one up in the air, and Prime knocks him down as soon as he hits the ground.
It's Yammyn that ends up falling. emilitoo finds Ataraxia as well. What an important fight here so far. It's 1-for-1. Hunter comes down for mid. EmilZy is gonna continue to push forward, trying to regroup with emilitoo, but Adapting has Prime alone on the back. Takes down the mid lane mage. Now CaptainTwig in a little bit of trouble as the crit's coming out big time from emilitoo. Adapting is following through. Overhand smash forces Twig out, but he does survive for now. They turn their attention to the support, the stun lands, and they're trying to lock down the Athena.
Man, the way that NRG has played this fight is just incredible. How many times do you see your mid lane mage, who's fully itemized and is in a great spot to just win you the game right away if he can live and get out his damage, get insta-killed in a team fight? He did no damage in that fight whatsoever, and that fight still goes that team's way. It's because NRG doesn't just twiddle their thumbs and go, oh man, we lost Yammyn, what are we gonna do now? No, as soon as Yammyn gets up in the sky, they hit the gas. They put the pedal to the metal, and emilitoo's, emilZy, maniaKK, straight into the back line. They get every relic out from Obey, and everyone on Obey is just scrambling after executing onto Yammyn.
Well, now Fire Giant being looked at by NRG. The whole situation is flipped around. Xaliea, CaptainTwig, the only ones here for now as emilitoo continues to chunk away. They do have Ataraxia making his way. He does have the snipes available if he can get close enough. Fire Giant now below 20% HP. They're not going to be able to contest. NRG now, the ones with the Fire Giant. Obey Alliance had it and cleaned all the towers from the map. NRG win the fight. Now they've got Fire Giant. They've got towers to clean out, and even this game up again. 32.5 minutes into this game, these teams continue to be even.
Man, what a fight this is. What a game this has been. What a set it's been. Both teams look dominant at times, but this game has been really, really back and forth, and now it's NRG who have the opportunity to siege, and probably a lot like Obey, I imagine that NRG might take their time and knock down some towers, but I don't think they're going to let this entire Fire Giant buff be dedicated to just knocking down towers. They're already basically 6-slotted as is. The gold isn't that relevant to NRG. I don't think you want to let Obey bide time and wait out this FG. This is an enhanced Fire Giant. NRG's didn't have to defend against that. They had the regular version. Obey kind of just used it to get that gold. NRG has a real opportunity to win the game off this buff.
Yes.
Maybe knock down tier 1 and mid, make sure the Titan isn't too tanky, but get a couple tier 2 towers and go right for a Phoenix. Don't waste too much time.
They certainly got the opportunity to get that done. Win Demon now on the line for emilitoo, giving him yet another power spike. Soul Reaver, Soul Gem, Ethereal Staff. That popular proc build all there for Yammyn, adapting, clearly showing he's got the damage, not a defensive item in sight for the Unbots. He wants to be able to delete whoever it is that he meets, and that is the target. They don't even look like they want the tier 1. They're pushing down the left-hand side. NRG ready to make this fight against Obey.
Man, I love the build from adapting. I think 11 out of 12 SPL junglers buy Magi's Cloak against this composition for Obey. Not Kenneth, man. He's making plays. I love it.
My man's ready to delete somebody. He's done it here all game long. Chase down PrettyPriMe, chase down Ataraxia. A big part of what helped him in that last fight is now iRaffer is under some trouble. emilZy's the one that blinks in. maniaKK has to dash back, takes a good bit of poke, but iRaffer's at half HP too. Both teams have plenty of sustain, though, as they wait to jump in one more time.
Ataraxia used the beads. Xaliea didn't even lose his Magi's Cloak there off that blink initiation from emilZy. That Moonlit Waltz just too good at making sure that he stays nice and safe.
You know, Obey Alliance clearly putting up a tough defense. emilZy without that Stygian Torment, one of their best team fighting abilities no longer available in Prime. Going to be able to freely do more damage. iRaffer taunting emilZy, no immediate follow-up. In fact, he gets a lot of damage back in return as emilitoo gets poked out by Prime on the right-hand side. Someone's got to find this mid-mage.
Xaliea is there to heal up iRaffer if necessary, though iRaffer understands he's got some time. No minion wave for a little bit. Obey's got a moment of respite. His NRG still just banging their heads against this wall, trying to get his left side Phoenix.
That's going to be the plan here for him. They got to get some eyes on Prime, though. He's just been chilling, throwing out artillery damage from way in the back line, having a good time so far this game. Anytime emilitoo wants to step up, he's punishing as emilZy gets taunted, but emilZy happy to take the taunt. Prime again, finding damage on just about everyone, forcing NRG back a little bit and padding the healing stats for maniaKK.
The one thing that I will say for Obey so far is iRaffer's taunts on this Phoenix defense have not been particularly good. It's been only emilZy or maniaKK
yes,
every single time. If Obey want to win this fight really cleanly, best way to do it, make sure iRaffer gets multiple members.
But it feels like that's not the call, right? As emilZy goes in aggressive, the taunt from iRaffer's already been expended. Fear No Evil comes out. That's going to force PrettyPriMe back. Tycho drums. It's rocking through the team fight. Stygian Torment back available again. Doesn't find anyone. Sprint comes out as CaptainTwig comes in to find a target. Big ult from Xaliea as well as adapting falls on the backhand side.
Twig doing a great job buying time on this Phoenix, which is still really, really healthy. Now he's going to sash
gotta get out of
in,
here,
which is a little bit risky, but he's got some help on the way.
Yeah, NRG got to go. They lost adapting at this point. If they give up anything more, Obey Alliance can just come down and end on their own. And Obey recognize it. They smell weakness. Comes in CaptainTwig looking for the sash. Yammyn ends up getting taunted out. Taunted back in. CaptainTwig finds the kill. Adapting and Yammyn both down. 5 members up for Obey Alliance. They got blood in the water, and they want a Phoenix.
Obey has got to get a Phoenix here, though. And emilitoo doesn't have any relics. emilZy, no ultimate for him. maniaKK doesn't have his meditation. Obey has a chance here. If they catch emilitoo, to just end the game.
Yes.
Emil has to be so careful now.
This is more than just a Phoenix on the line. Obey Alliance have a chance to take the whole set right here, right now. Phoenix defense so patient from Obey, and now they have a chance to finally break into NRG's base. maniaKK here, emilitoo, emilZy all here too. iRaffer lands the taunt, forces out emilitoo to retreat. Phoenix already down. maniaKK gets stunned and sashed. That's it. It's a 5v2. Adapting will be back up in a second. Obey Alliance can't force their way in just yet.
No, not yet. I mean, 20 seconds on Yammyn, and he's going to be up likely with his ultimate. But look at this trap that Obey is laying.
Scary.
They've got nothing else to do. I love this.
Looks like, though, perhaps just some life RNG working out as NRG just go for the left side instead, and they don't walk right into that trap. But Obey are still looking for him. They're coming into the jungle, adapting, and emilitoo have to recognize it by now and have to retreat.
And they will do that. I mean, emilitoo's got his Magi's Cloak, but yeah, here comes Xaliea on the backside. He got spotted out. Fear No Evil just gets Magi's cloaked away.
forced to use such an important teamfight relic defensively. EmilZy rotates in as well to try and help out with the squad. Does have Stygian in Torment, and he uses it to avoid getting sashed. Actually pulls iRaffer back in, but Final Judgment just too strong. Ataraxia has the arrows necessary, and they take down the support for NRG.
Twig has his ultimate now, and just one sash onto Yammyn or emilitoo could likely end this game, but Yammyn's beads are coming up really soon. I don't know if Twig has that exact timer.
They gotta fall back. Adapting now in a little bit of trouble. He has to use the purification beads. Phoenix in left, Phoenix in mid, all come down, but still, Obey cannot end this game just yet. Making the base easier is important. Whoa, Ataraxia.
Yikes.
That can't happen.
No, how does that happen? What?
Just a fat finger there.
What are
on the
you
beads.
VGSing, dude?
Oh no. Well, now going in aggressively is CaptainTwig. They've got the Defender of Olympus coming out from iRaffer as well as he comes in for control. Xaliea finds adapting. They may not even need the beads if they could take down Yammyn. He has the Taiko drums. It controls everyone, but there's just no help. Yammyn stuck in the jungle, and CaptainTwig takes him down as well. Obey Alliance still have 5 members. They're going to go right to the Titan.
Yeah, without adapting or Yammyn, I mean, emilitoo's here, but he's only one man. Obey's got to go for the end here.
And that is going to be the call. They turn to try and defend up against maniaKK. They're not putting in damage yet. emilitoo comes in on the right-hand side, has to airstrike defensively. Up into the air goes Ataraxia, looking for the snipes. Stygian Torment does control a few, but it's just not enough. Titan down to half HP. Obey Alliance find a way to get it done here up against NRG in Game 3.
Wow, what a game. What a set from Obey Alliance. They looked toasted. Game 1, I was ready to write it off, man.
Me
I really
too.
was.
They
looked so good in Game 2, though, and they bounced back here in Game 3 in a completely back and forth effort. And NRG has got to feel really bad after that loss, man, because this is 2 times now in the summer split that they lost to their old teammate iRaffer on Obey, a team that they have struggled with now in 2 sets in a row. And Obey Alliance has got to feel revitalized after that. Imagine if they hadn't lost to mousesports.
Right.
We'd be sitting here talking about how Obey Alliance might be a top 2 team right now.
Starting to get a lot more clumped up at the top of EU right now. It's so close. And who do you think was your MVP from that game? But Ryan, I mean, if that didn't do it for you, then I don't know if you like Smite, man. I don't know how much better than that it gets.
That was an awesome game, man. Again, it's Xaliea on this Chang'e. There is no way another team watches that set and lets Xaliea get Chang'e 3 games in a row.
No,
I just don't understand.
He looks so good on it right now. Really, Obey Alliance as a squad really recovered in that game because NRG had the Fire Giant pushing down the Phoenix. That Phoenix defense from Obey was so solid.
Clutch, man. Clutch. That poke damage from Thoth. That's what it's all about. That's why you pick them really early.
Well, they managed to get it there in that game. We're going to go ahead and let the desk break down what happened in that huge set.
That was a huge set. Holy wowee. So, Obey take it. I'm surprised a little bit. But so earlier we were talking, and I think this was an important litmus test for Obey taking on NRG, because Obey are a team that have struggled recently, and watching what they've been able to do here, I mean, this is very much the ship is sinking, water is filling, and if they didn't win this set, Taco, I'd say they go down with the ship. Now, they've just simply found another bucket. There's still issues, and we looked at these glaring issues, but I'm not ready to run away from Obey being a top-end team just yet.
Obey keep themselves in the spectrum or the considerations, I think, for making it to LAN. And Summer Split, I think that's the main thing that they're trying to keep alive here, because if they drop the set to NRG, it's over. Like, they have no hopes of recovering that one. But I do think, like, I called it at the very start before we even watched Game 1 or Game 2 and 3 and so on and so forth. It's just that it's still not a settling victory.
Yeah.
As strong of a performance as Obey had in that Game 3, I think that was NRG's match to win, and that was also NRG's match to lose. And they lost it because Obey did a phenomenal job defending underneath that Phoenix, and that was the big thing for me was Prime.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Prime, off of the back of CaptainTwig, had a huge impact here. The fans voted for CaptainTwig being MVP. I'm with you. I really liked what Prime did on the Thoth.
It's Xaliea or Prime to me. I know that Twig might have won it this time around. I think that all the way home, though, it's definitely coming down to Prime and Xalia's combined magical defense there on that right or on that left-hand Phoenix that NRG were trying to siege, because they were so ready to commit. And then the moment that they did, adapting gets picked off, and that's really all that needed to happen. And that was also another concern that I had was Batz being the basis around that Fear No Evil.
Yeah.
You have such little room to work with there if you're
That's
NRG.
fair.
And I think they managed to find the appropriate follow-up damage, but they couldn't consistently get in front of them to drop that Fear No Evil, and it was just the range potential from Obey in comparison to that of NRG.
I'll give you that. I really like Fear No Evil. I think it's a great ability. However, it's more of a disruption or a counter initiation tool, and depending on the monkey to be your primary sort of setup man can be really tough. So not going to be the case this time around. Obey take this one 2-1. We will talk about it more in depth on Monday, though, 10 a.m. Definitely want to join us.
I am so done with Obey. I really am. I completely give up on trying to predict which sets they're actually going to win, because the ones that you think that they will, they don't, and then the ones that you think that they won't, they do.
Yeah, I mean, Obey, it's tough. I looked at them as a team that's falling again. I used a sinking ship analogy. I'm going to use a rock climb. They're hanging on with one hand.
It's
They're
the
hanging on with one
inconsistency
hand.
factor, though. That is the main reason why I still have struggles trying to consider them there, because they take this set off of energy, but then they lose to Mouse the week before. It's the inconsistency. If they can remain consistent for the rest of this split, then maybe I'll change my mind again. But for right now, I don't know. I feel like I've been burned by Obey, and I'd rather not look back.
You say losing to Mouse as if it's a terrible thing, but Mouse has been on the up and up with the removal of Jermaine and the addition of Spudio. Mouse look to be a completely different team. They're taking on SK next. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more SPL.
From afar, got my thoughts in the sky. Where we used to kiss, sunshine, shit, and why you gotta call me every day, pretend you're my baby. I see more real out there lately, it's crazy. Yeah, we could be the same as we claim in this kingdom shit and keep it tame. Come on, baby girl, we're not the same. Two different speeds, but we keep it one lane. Yeah, what goes around comes around. Keep 100, y'all. Do this for my soul like a dawn. Put the stereo on. Put your hands in the air, we'll be alright. Hey, oh, yeah. You keep messing up my mind, but I love your style. You know I put the place up. Put my face up. Why you doing all that? Thought you was my wife, but you slapped me in the back. Slapped me in the back.
You better turn up. You better be there when I shake. Watch me rockin' if I can't stop. If I should fall